The last year has not been the best for competitive Pokemon play, however things are looking up. With collecting being at an all-time high and the advent of huge online tournaments, never has there been a better time to get into the Pokemon trading card game. But where to start? Enter sealed only Pokemon. Like many before me, such as Nim, Rebs, Fat Moose and Let's Play Pokemon, I'm diving into a unique and fun trading card challenge. On a budget of £30 an episode, I'll be trying to build a competitive Pokemon deck to take on the PTCGO ladder and battle our way through online tournaments. The catch? I can only use sealed official products to build my deck. That means no trading, no buying singles, and no easy way out. So, with that in mind, let's crack some packs. Last episode, we finally reached our goal of qualifying as part of our LGS's squad for the team challenge. So that means today we have ourselves a brand new goal alongside a brand new format as Battle Styles is legal for play. Now, probably by the time that this video releases, everyone should have received their keys for Players Cup 4, and we're going to see just how well Blastoise can hold his own in the big leagues. And I am extremely happy that we reached our first goal, but this is going to really push our deck to see what it can do with a wider pool of players and a wider pool of decks. To prepare for this, we're going to be doing a sort of test run this week, heading into a few in-client tournaments, hoping we can improve our record from episode 4, where we burnt out in round 1 every time. And if you remember last episode, we went over budget, so we're a little bit handicapped here this week. With a reduced budget of £15.50, there isn't a whole lot we can do, except plan for the future. I did say we've already pivoted into a sealed only Blastoise over Inteleon, but I think that we could go harder. So to that end, we're going to be opening up this Blastoise V deck, with the aim that next week we can crack open its big brother VMAX himself. This also leaves us with £2.50 in the bank, finally resetting ourselves back to regular spending next episode. Our deck is going quite far away from the meta, but to be honest, I'm just having a ton of fun seeing what we can throw together. And worst comes to worst, we can always get back on track with the recently revealed Inteleon VMAX League Battle deck to close the series out. But for now, let's crack open this V Battle deck and see what goodies it has in store for us. To be honest with you, there isn't a whole lot that we want in this Blastoise V deck outside of Blastoise V himself, so we're just going to go straight in and have a look at what he does. He is a 2-prize V Pokemon with 220 HP, a 1 water attack for 30 and a 3 water attack for 200 that you can't use again next turn. That shouldn't be too much of a problem for us, because hopefully in the future we're going to have the VMAX as well, but I'm really interested in him mainly because I've got Inteleon V here as well that we can look at. Inteleon V has the bench snipe, which I haven't really been able to use to its full benefit without the VMAX, and its second attack only does 130 for the same amount of water. So I think for now, Blastoise V, even just on a one-to-one basis, is better for us than Inteleon for the sheer fact that he's doing more damage. So we're going to get into the deck tech in a minute and you'll see that Inteleon V is benched this week. We'll see how that gets on, but yeah, we're Blastoise sealed only now, that's for sure. There is also, if we go into the trainers, 2 copies of Capacious Bucket. I think we've pulled one in a previous episode. I'll look into that as well. We aren't really using Blastoise-GX's attack at the moment, or his GX attack I should specify, and being able to pull out a bunch of water if we have 2 of these in hand might mean that we can really set up our bench attackers even more efficiently than our Baby Blastoise does right now. So I'm looking into adding this, maybe 1, 2, probably won't do 3, I think I've pulled 3 in total, but I might add 1 or 2 just to see how we get on. And to be honest, that's kind of it for the rest of the deck. There isn't anything else exciting in here, unfortunately. So we're going to do a bit more of an in-depth deck tech this week, and we may as well just crack on with it. Starting off, we have our 4 Squirtle, our 1 Wartortle, and our 2 powerful Squall Blastoise. Not to mention our Blastoise-GX. This lineup's the exact same as it was last episode, and I don't think there'll be any changes coming to this. If I had more powerful Squall Blastoise, I would definitely want to add at least 1 more, but with how hard it is to find team up packs and the theme deck, I just don't see that happening unfortunately, so we're going to stick with 2. With our 3 Rare Candy, Wartortle at 1 feels perfectly fine, and I like having him there, so I'm not going to remove it either. It's just a bit of a backup and just makes me feel comfortable knowing that he's in the deck should we need it. But adding to the list this week, we do have Blastoise V, who looks very nice with the rest of the package. But it does mean that we are removing Inteleon V this week, as I previously mentioned. However, I think this is for the best, at least for now. Plus, in terms of flavour and just pure excitement, I love having this much Blastoise in a deck. He's easily one of my favourite Pokemon, and definitely one of my, if not favourite starter ever. So this just fills me with joy knowing that this is the deck we've built. Talking of joy, we also have Dubwool V, who I have grown to absolutely adore over the course of this series. He has been MVP for us many weeks in a row, proving to be vital against decks like Pikarom. I know going into battle styles that the fighting weakness could prove to be problematic for us, but for now he stays because I just love him so much. We also have the Dedenne-GX still at 1. I think that was the right call last week, reducing it down from 2. We just don't have the bench space for it, and we already have plenty of draw. I actually considered upping Oranguru to 2 this week. I think he's quite vital to what we're doing, and being able to make sure we guarantee him every game seemed like the right choice. But for now I'm keeping it at 1. I will keep an eye on him and perhaps up it next week if I think that it's the right call. Another line that I'm unsure about is Jirachi. I cannot deny that it has definitely been useful, but I'm finding myself actually using the ability and the card less and less. So I'm going to give it at least one more week to find out if that's my playstyle or if it's just not as useful to the deck as I thought. But while we do have them and the Scoop Up Net package, I wanted to at least try this 1 week Mewtwo. It does mean that we're removing Eldegoss V from the deck, but I think that has the potential to be a really good choice. It's reusable, it's only a 1 prizer, which makes it less of a liability, and with Scoop Up Net we can remove it and make space for the other things that we need on our bench. I'm quite happy with our little Pokemon package here, not only because I think it works quite well, but I'm a big fan of a lot of the Pokemon we're using, so that's always nice when you can fill a deck with Pokemon you actually like. Powerful Squall is our MVP of the deck, I feel, with Blastoise-GX being the big attacker, and I'm hoping that Blastoise V is going to fill that gap between the two while we're trying to get everything set up on the board. If we can get a Blastoise V on board and powered up, attacking, or we're trying to get Blastoise-GX going, it really could help out the deck. Not to mention the late game Dubwool, who we might have to be a bit more careful with now that Battle Styles is out. Moving over to trainers, our supporter lineup is exactly the same. 4 Professor's Research, 4 Marnie, and 2 Boss's Orders. If Mewtwo proves to be as useful as I'm hoping he is, then I might consider dropping down Research or Marnie to 3, but that's going to take a little bit of testing with, a little bit of playing, and seeing how that would work out. Boss's Orders feels fine at 2, I'm not sure that we have the space, nor the need for more. Moving into our items, there's not a whole lot of change, but there is room for more conversation, especially when looking at our ball search. Our Pokemon lineup is looking to be a lot more basic nowadays, so the Great Ball is less and less appealing to me. Quick Ball has proved itself to be useful over and over, not just in our deck, but in nearly every deck in the meta so far. Evolution Incense kind of does what Great Ball does for our deck, finding our Wartortles and Blastoises, but without the chance of missing the search. So I'm considering changing Great Balls for Evo Essences and perhaps another Quick Ball next episode. Not to mention Pokémon Communication, which is an all-star. Our Rare Candy lineup at 3 still feels really good with this number, with the Wartortle as well, effectively meaning we have a 4-4 Squirtle Wartortle line. It feels nice, and I don't have too many worries in that area. We have 2 Switch down here on the bottom, running out a little bit of space, 1 Air Balloon, and 3 Scoop Up Net. I would perhaps up our Scoop Up Net lineup to 4, but unfortunately I don't have a 4th copy. I really thought I did, but I searched through all of our sealed only binder and box, and I just couldn't see anything in there, unfortunately. We're also keeping our 2 Ordinary Rod, as it has proved to be quite useful for us pulling back Dubwool V often, pulling back energy. It's just proven to be quite good in our deck. Now that Battle Styles has Energy Recycler, I might try and get that in future episodes, as it might be quite useful for us, but for now Ordinary Rod will do the job. Our 2 changes in our item lineup this week involve removing our 2 Pokemon Catcher. I feel like whenever I'm using this, it's just to try and slow down the opponent, and never for anything really useful. Plus with the fact that it's a coin flip, I'm just going to get rid of it and see if we can replace it with things that are more useful. So to that end, we're bringing back a fan favourite in Reset Stamp, which kind of serves the same purpose that I've been using the Pokemon Catcher for, in slowing down and just generally hampering our opponent. And lastly, a new card to our deck, we're going to introduce one copy of Capacious Bucket. I managed to look through our box and find that we had pulled a reverse one previously, so of course we're going to use this one for bling. I'm only using one, and maybe that's just not enough to give it a fair shot, but I was a little bit tentative about how useful it would be. But we're going to throw one in, see if I use it, and perhaps up that number for future episodes. So this is our deck lineup. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm always looking for feedback, and there are definitely some cards here that I've grown sort of attached to, but maybe should have let go of a long time ago. I'm looking at you, Great Ball. So leave your comments, your thoughts, your suggestions on what we could change with what we already have, or anything that I should be searching for that you think would be really pivotal for our deck. It's always great to have conversations with you guys in the comments. I almost forgot, we also have the 12 energy that we've been playing for a few episodes now, as 12 feels like the right number to try and guarantee powerful score. Always find something, at least. Until we get something like Energy Recycler that I already mentioned. I wouldn't want to go down any further because we can only recur 2 per turn with Ordinary Rod. We can only find 2 manually with Capacious Bucket. I don't know, 12 feels like the right number for now, but we'll see how we go as we add some new items. But without further ado, let's get ourselves into some in-game tournaments and see how this deck holds up. Compared to most water decks on the ladder, coming up against the lightning deck doesn't bode so badly for us, thanks to the old school Sun and Moon grass weakness on Baby Blastoise and Blastoise-GX. The Jirachi mirror turn 1 boded well for us, giving us a chance to find our pieces without an immediate threat, and the lack of hand disruption on their turn from our opponent means that our starting hand is up there with one of the best possible scenarios for us. Pulling our brand new Blastoise V off the top of the deck means that the baby Blastoise that we can rare candy into has somewhere to put any energy that we find. And find energy we do. 3 water straight from a powerful Squall means that our new V Pokemon is ready for action, and the net for Jirachi means that we are off and running very early for our deck. The only thing better would have been if we'd somehow managed to get Blastoise-GX out already, but you do not hear me complaining. I had to remind myself a few times during this match what it was that Morpeko V and eventually the VMAX actually did, as it's not a card I see very often, nor have I ever tried to play with it myself. I did like the inclusion of Electrode here for energy acceleration, not to mention the fact it gave us an easy prize card, which again is something you will not hear me complaining about. But it was a shame our opponents seemed to brick, or at least from their emote, not get in an ideal position. Digging for more resources did see us with an out to the can't attack next turn clause on Blastoise V, switching up into our backup Blastoise for his moment in the sun. We used a powerful Squall one more time in case he ended up getting KO'd, and find even more energy. I'm not sure we've had such successful hits on the ability in the series so far. Our opponent continues his bad luck, however, sacrificing his Dedenne to our Blastoise. All while we just get even more powered up on the bench. We thin for good measure, hoping to find ourselves a Blastoise-GX for a swift victory. And sure enough, a Marnie finds the big man himself. So we promote Wartortle after losing Blastoise V to the Morpeko VMAX. And a simple KO dealing 300 damage sees us into the next round. While a lightning deck may not worry me, a decent grass deck is well placed to be a major thorn in our side. The key to this game would lie in our new Blastoise V, and I spent the first few turns trying to dig through our deck to find him. Our opponent's deck seemed a little strange, even in a meta where grass typically doesn't see much play anyway. The Orbital suggests a deck primarily using the VMAX, switching in and out, but there was also a line of coin flipping shenanigans. Our turn 2 saw us edge closer to Blastoise and succeed in getting the Blastoise V on the bench, but not much else. Luckily, our opponents seemed to be getting off to a rather slow start as well, even with them taking that KO. Losing Jirachi, however, didn't mean much to us, and we used both Research and Dedenne hoping to get our Blastoise with powerful Squall in play. I eventually find a line using a few different items, only to realise that I haven't checked what's prized. Of course, now realising that it's both baby Blastoise. I decide to pivot into the GX instead, hoping to use him for an early but crucial KO and pass it over. Another swift and underwhelming turn from the grass player sees us with a chance at taking a key knockout on Orbital. However, our Jirachi decides that he's had a tough day and stays asleep. Instead, we dig through looking for a switch or net, but settle for thinning and establishing an Oranguru. Here I must have been feeling bad for my opponent because I misplay our next turn, forgetting that Jirachi has indeed woken up and immediately used the Stellar Wish, putting him back to sleep. Plus I ballooned the monkey instead. What are you gonna do? Although with the pace of the game so far, I wasn't too worried once I realised what I'd done, as our bench was starting to look quite healthy even without the use of powerful Squall, and whatever our opponent did to win round 1 didn't seem to be working for them this game. We finally got our Blastoise GX into the active position for the KO, making sure to take energy off the bench so that he'd still be good to attack again next turn, as I was feeling rather good about his chances at survival. This proved to be the right call, taking out the Maractus next turn and the eggs the turn after that. Honestly, this game was in the bag from quite early on, and while it's not the most exciting way to make it into the final, it does still end with us making it to round 3, so I will take that. One hell of an improvement over 4 episodes ago. We fought through both of our deck's main weakness matchups to be finally rewarded with a favourable weakness in the final. Still, as we learnt last time against Centre Scorch, fire decks are not to be underestimated, thanks to their ability to get going extremely quickly. This is highlighted in this match particularly, where there are 4 energy on our opponent's board at the end of turn 1, 3 of which on Reshazard of all places. We find ourselves in a very perilous situation, having no big attackers on board and already being 1 Squirtle down. I'd be lying if I said I was feeling very calm at the start of this round. Digging through our deck is going to be very important, but I have a lot of resources that I want to keep, so I opt for Marnie over Research. This does find us an attacker, even if it isn't the one I was looking for. Still, it gives us a path to head down, and so we give up another Pokemon in the active position in aims of holding out long enough to get a presence on board. Our opponent keeps trucking on, but we get lucky and pull Evo Essence off the top of our deck. This luck continues with Blastoise V and an extremely stacked hit with powerful Squall. Our board state has gone from pitiful to threatening in the space of 1 turn. Unfortunately, our opponent can see where we are heading and bosses up our Blastoise V, KOing him before we can really start popping off with him. I gamble that we can get enough energy on the baby Blastoise and promote him to the active position. We reload our energy from the discard before powerful Squalling, and things go very well as we get exactly what we need off the top. And this is a huge tempo swing for us, putting us in a far more comfortable position. Another Reshazard begins to get set up on the bench, but aware of the fact that we've pulled ahead, I decide to play it safe and retreat Blastoise into Dubwool V for the KO. This proves to be the right play as our opponent can't find the welder and has to settle for hitting us for 200 thanks to Dubwool's reduced damage ability. With the energy in hand, we can simply retreat into Blastoise V and hit for weakness, which our opponent realises and scoops, handing us the victory so swiftly that I click right through the victory screen. But victory screen or not, we take the first place finish in Episode 8's tournament. I was not expecting that result at all. Yes, we may have dodged either of the Kung Fu Bears, Victini, or any of their ilk, but we hit 2 weaknesses in Lightning and Grass and still took the win. I'm feeling pretty good going into our Players' Cup games next episode. Blastoise V performed exactly as I hoped it would, and better. That 200 damage over Inteleon's 130 proved to be crucial in a number of our games. and next week's VMAX is only going to improve that damage further. I'm still a little apprehensive, especially going up against Rapid Strike Urshifu, so I'll probably have to play a few games in between episodes to try and get more practice with our Blastoise squad. But my outlook is a lot more optimistic than it was last episode for sure. Like I said before, please do leave any feedback in the comments down below on what you think we can improve the list with. Do we swap out Jirachi, bin the Great Ball, or do we even throw in ADP? Let me know what you think. Also, a quick thanks to everyone who has liked, subscribed, and shared the series so far. Your support is really appreciated. And if you haven't done any of those things so far, well, consider this your reminder to do so now. Next week will be the Blastoise VMAX box, and either a few Vivid Voltage or Battle Styles, whichever I can get my hands on within budget, to be honest. But until then, keep cracking packs.